Have you felt that pinch at the pump recently? Or maybe you're still waiting on a package that was supposed to show up last week. Well, you are not alone. There's a crisis happening halfway around the world, and it's sending ripple effects that are hitting all of us right here at home. So let's break down exactly what's going on and why it matters so much. And just to be clear, this isn't some far-off prediction. This is a reality as of April 2026. A massive standoff in the Middle East has basically thrown a giant wrench into the gears of the global economy. And the very heart of the problem? It's a tiny but unbelievably important strip of water. Get a load of this number. 21. That's it. Just 21 miles wide. That's the narrowest point of the Strait of Hormuz. But don't let that tiny number fool you. This is, without a doubt, the world's most critical energy choke point. Think about it. About 20% of the world's daily oil supply has to pass through this one little channel. So yeah, when there's a problem here, the whole world feels it. And right now, there is a huge problem. A major military conflict between the United States and Iran has kicked off this really unprecedented situation that military experts are starting to call the dueling blockades. You've got both sides trying to control this one waterway, but, and this is key, they are going about it in completely different ways. So, you might be asking, how on earth did things get this bad so fast? Well, it all kicked off at the end of February. And for a minute there, it looked like things might cool down with some high-stakes peace talks in Islamabad. But then, on April 12th, those talks completely collapsed. And just 24 hours later, the U.S. made its move, announcing a full naval blockade on all of Iran's ports. Okay, so what exactly is a naval blockade? I mean, what are we talking about here? In simple terms, it's an act of war. One country uses its navy to completely seal off another country's coastline. The whole point is to cut off their trade, their supplies, their connection to the rest of the world, basically to squeeze their economy until they give in. And this is where things get really fascinating, because even though the US and Iran are both trying to control the strait, they're using totally different playbooks. It's a classic matchup, really, a huge conventional naval power going up against a much more unconventional asymmetric force. First, let's just talk about geography. Where are they even setting up? The U.S. Navy is keeping its distance, hanging back in the wide open waters of the Gulf of Oman and the Arabian Sea. From there, they can intercept ships that are heading to or from Iran. Iran, on the other hand, is doing the exact opposite. They're using the tight, narrow geography of the strait to their advantage, controlling traffic right up close to their own coastline. Now, the U.S. is trying to do this completely by the book. They're following all the rules of international law, things like the Newport Manual on Naval Warfare. They've given formal notice, they definitely have the firepower to enforce it, and, this is really important, they're allowing humanitarian aid like food and medicine to get into Iran. Plus, they're letting neutral ships pass through to get to other countries like Kuwait or Qatar. Iran's strategy? Well, it could not be more different. They've declared the whole area a hazardous zone and have deployed thousands of naval mines, basically forcing all ships into narrow channels that they control. Every single vessel has to go through checkpoints run by the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, all while under the threat of anti-ship missiles and those explosive drone boats. And get this, they're even demanding ships pay a toll up to $1 per barrel of oil, and they want it paid in cryptocurrency. So let's just boil this all down. You can see it right here. The U.S. goal is to apply economic pressure through a formal legal blockade. Iran's goal is to establish sovereign control through disruption and, let's be honest, extortion. It's a major clash of styles, a by-the-book, conventional strategy versus a far more unpredictable, guerrilla-style approach to naval warfare. And while these two strategies are clashing in the Gulf, who's caught in the middle? Well, all of us. The rest of the world is feeling the pain. A standoff like this doesn't just stay local, it sends massive shockwaves through the entire global economy. You know, one of the first places you see the real-world impact isn't on the water, it's on paper. The cost of war risk insurance for any ship trying to go through that region has just exploded. We're talking spikes of 300 to 500%, practically overnight. For a lot of shipping companies, the route is just too expensive to even consider anymore. And it's not just about the money, it is about, plain and simple, fear. The risk of getting hit by a missile, being seized by the U.S. Navy, or getting diverted by Iranian forces is so high that we are literally seeing huge cargo ships making U-turns in the middle of the ocean just to get away from the area. So what's the alternative if you can't go through? Well, you have to go around, the long way around.
A lot of these companies are now rerouting their ships all the way around the Cape of Good Hope at the bottom of Africa. This one detour adds up to 20 extra days to their journey. That means way more fuel burned and, for us, major delays.
And those delays are hitting certain industries especially hard. Car manufacturers are actually stopping production lines because they can't get essential parts. The electronics and consumer goods we all buy are facing huge disruptions. And it's even affecting our food. Delays in green shipments are driving up prices right there in the grocery store.
As bad as all of this sounds, here's the scary part. The situation could get much, much worse. This whole standoff in the Strait of Hormuz, it might just be the opening act of a much larger and frankly more dangerous global crisis.
Just stop and think about that for a second. We've got the world's most critical shipping lane in chaos. What would happen if suddenly another one joined it? What if the crisis literally doubled?
This is the scenario that analysts are calling a dual choke point crisis. It is the absolute nightmare scenario for the global economy. It's when not one, but two of the world's most vital maritime arteries are blocked at the very same time. The one that connects the Persian Gulf to the world, and the one that connects the Red Sea to the Indian Ocean.
And listen, this isn't just some hypothetical theory from a think tank. This is a direct quote. Senior Iranian officials have explicitly made this threat, warning that if Hormuz is closed, the Bab el-Mandeb Strait could be next. It's a direct threat to escalate this into a full-blown economic war.
So let's just look at these two choke points side by side. You've got Hormuz, handling about 20% of the world's oil, controlled by Iran's IRGC. And then you have the Bab el-Mandeb, which handles about 12% of all global trade. And it's extremely vulnerable to attacks from Iran's allies in Yemen, the Houthi forces, who have already proven they can and will disrupt shipping in the Red Sea.
So here's the big takeaway. This 2026 standoff is showing us something absolutely crucial. The battlefields of the 21st century aren't always on land with tanks and soldiers. A lot of the time, they're on the global shipping lanes, the economic arteries that supply everything from the gas in our cars to the food on our plates. Economic warfare is no longer just a possibility, it's here. And all of this leaves us with a really critical question, not just about this conflict, but about our future. In a world that is so deeply interconnected by trade, a world where supply chains can be so easily weaponized, can any major war truly be contained to just one region? It's something we're all going to have to think about. Thanks for watching, and stay informed.